I'll save you the long-winded intro. Here's 10 things you should really know before you spend your hard-earned money hiring a fence contractor. Thing number one would always be hiring a family member without shopping around or only getting one estimate. I see customers do it all the time and I just don't understand why. Most fence contractors will give you an estimate for free. You want to get at least 3 and you never want to go with the cheapest one, and you rarely want to go with the most expensive one. You want to read each one carefully and decide which one's going to give you the most value. Number 2, make sure the fence contractor can tell you what materials they'll be using. Steel posts or wood posts, and if wood posts, will they be cedar or pressure treated pine? Also confirm whether the rails will be treated pine, untreated pine, which will need stained, or cedar, which should also be stained. You also want to ask about the pickets. Will these be untreated pine, treated pine, or cedar? When it comes to comparing the different types of materials for the pickets and the different types of wood species for your fence, I've actually created this video to break all that down, so check that out. And depending on your needs, there's no right answer to these questions necessarily. Just make sure the fence contractor can cleanly and articulately answer them for you. Number 3, and this is an important one, make sure that you're clear with the contractor on the spacing between posts and how deep they'll be in the ground. This is an 8-foot post, so if it's a full 24 inches in the ground, which is a minimum in my opinion for a 6-footer, you'll know because it'll stick up to right about 6 foot. This won't be cut. That's how you can confirm that. If you feel up here and this is the factory edge, it's not cut at an angle, you know they're proper depth. Real quick, I think it's a good time to remind y'all that every like, every subscribe, every comment down below, it helps the algorithm out and it means more to me than you know. I'm trying to get this channel off the ground, so for those of you already subscribed, I appreciate it. And if you haven't, consider doing so. Number 4 is more financial considerations. Confirm the contractor's got at least $1 million in general liability insurance. Good contractor will have it. U.S. citizens will have it. You also want to be wary of any contractors that only take cash. You know, if you want to pay cash, we contractors do appreciate it, but a real contractor that's going to take care of you, they'll be able to take Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Zelle, cash, check, debit card, credit card. You know, I do. I don't think it's that hard. You know, I like to make it as easy as possible for customers to pay me money. And the third thing would be to be wary of big deposits. If a customer needs more than 35% of the total invoice ticket price as a deposit, seems sketch, seems unnecessary to me. I usually like to show up and I'll do the whole tear down, and at that point I'll ask the customer for 35% deposit to help cover the lumber costs. Number 5, and this is probably the biggest one for me, always make sure your fence contractor is going to use all screws on every picket, no nails on any of the pickets. A lot of fence contractors know how much time they'll save just with the nail gun, and they have a really smooth, polished sales pitch about how it's just as good. I could do a whole separate video on this, but I mean, it doesn't take a genius to realize that if you screw it together, I mean, you're going to avoid, I mean, if you nail a fence together, you're just hoping it stays together, and every nail is a pivot point, and especially on gates, this is crucial. So if I was to pick one of these for you to insist on when you hire a fence guy, make sure it's all screws, no nails. You won't regret it. Number 6, and forgive me, I'm going to use this old junk fences again as another example, but there's no reason on any fence ever a contractor should ever be using these 2x3-inch rails. When the fence is brand new being built, insist that they use 2x4 rails. 2x3s are how you get that distinct droop between every 2 posts, and it looks terrible and they don't last. No excuse for 2x3 rails. This is almost as important as the screws and the nails. Make sure you're not getting 2x3 rails. It's a cheap, crappy way to save a few bucks for a contractor, and you will regret it. You will pay the price for it. Number 7, I would say stray away from any contractors that are coming from over an hour away. You can always ask contractors where they're based out of, and it doesn't inherently mean they're bad guys, they're going to do a bad job, but it does tell me as a fence professional 2 things. They don't have the reputation and the word of mouth critical mass to keep busy in their own neck of the woods. And it's also hard to imagine you're not going to pay a little more somewhere in the invoice for the drive time and the fuel costs. So I wouldn't go more than 30-40 minutes out. Ideally, you can find a guy in your own neighborhood who's got good local reviews and reputation. Number 8 kind of goes hand in hand with that, and that's make sure you get some reviews, references, photos, whatever it is that'll make you comfortable. A good fence guy's proud of his work at the end of the job, and he takes multiple pictures. You know, a good fence guy at the end of the job, he asks customers if he can rely on them for a reference or if they'd be willing to leave him a review on his Thumbtack, his Facebook page, his Nextdoor app. The level of reviews and photos and the content in them that's going to make you feel comfortable might vary from customer to customer, but don't ever hire somebody without at least reading up on a few reviews and checking out some photos of projects they've done that are similar to what you want. Number 9 is going to be, don't forget to ask them about gates. Customers often have a fence replaced and the fence has an existing gate, but they don't mention that to the contractor. So halfway through the job, 3/4 way, at the end of the job, whatever, it becomes a big issue. The customer's like, well, I had a gate here and now you just built a fence. It's just something you definitely want to clarify up front to avoid any confusion. This is, of course, obviously something that a solid, skilled contractor is going to know, and they're going to quote for the gates if they're replacing one. When I build a fence, even if it's a front section without a gate, I always ask if they'd want to consider putting one on that side. It's just good to clear that up ahead of time. Every like, every subscribe, every comment down below, it helps the algorithm out and it means more to me than you know. Lastly, number 10, and this is a bit of a twofer. This probably could have been 2 more, but I thought 10 was a good round number. Confirm with your contractor, 1, that they'll be taking care of the haul off and the dump fees. It's usually implied, but not always, and that can lead to an issue. Also, if it's important to you, ask them for a timeline. Say how many days start to finish, what day do you plan on starting. You know, you should assume as a customer that if you're getting any fence posts put in, that will take a day by itself, as the concrete will need at least 24 hours to cure overnight. If it's warm out, maybe 12 to 18 hours sometimes. This is the video right here that YouTube thinks you would like best from my channel, so check it out. But that sums up the list. Hey, if you found this video helpful, engage, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you on the next one.